When people think about burning fat, you think about running, cardio, yes? Think about, I have to burn all these calories. Well, it turns out that resistance training, weightlifting, squatting, just, high intensity, but not burning a lot of calories during the actual session. So intense weightlifting effectively helps you burn fat. So I wanted to just, as we get into the practical nuts and bolts here, we're not focusing on burning tons of calories. We're talking about stimulating that muscle with resistance training and with explosive type movements. And one research paper came out last year, 2021, found that just heavy weightlifting was able to release these different intracellular vesicles that help you burn fat, which is great. So the point here, the benefits of exercise only continue to get better. So it needs to become a habit. So stick with what you can habitually do. If it's a walk after every meal, that's your exercise. Just bite off what you can chew. Don't overdo it. Don't think you need to go from no exercise to 7 days a week. Slowly work into it. And the more that this becomes a habit, the more benefits you will experience in your life. So we need to understand that. Okay. We want to focus on compound movements. So, for example, let's say I go to the gym and I'm doing a bicep curl. It's only one joint is moving. A compound movement is multiple joints, okay? So for example, if I squat right here, what's moving? My knees, my hips. So you want to focus on movements where there's multiple joints moving at the same time, okay? We can think about a hip thrust, which is featured right here. Does anyone do hip thrusts? Oh, good, okay. See the hands? People are already doing this, which is phenomenal. The hip thrust is one of the best ways to build your glutes. Your glutes are the biggest muscle in your entire body, okay? And in fact, the leg muscles tend to atrophy first. So I know for guys, you go to a gym, you see guys bench press and bicep curls. That's all they're doing. Okay, even men need to focus on their legs because the leg muscles atrophy first. And there's data from Europe finding that diabetes starts actually in the leg muscle. The insulin resistance starts down here. The upper body musculature can preserve insulin sensitivity for whatever reason. So what that means is that even you men out there who don't really care about your legs because you're not playing football anymore, you still need to do these type of movements. So we're going to get into those. 2 more quick studies. This study, as I mentioned earlier, exercise releases a molecule that prevents coronary artery disease, the #1 cause of death here in Colombia, okay? Very important. This was resistance training, by the way, as well. And exercise is safe for people who have had a heart attack. It's very important. People who have had a heart issue, they're worried about, well, if I get my heart rate up with exercise, am I going to have another heart attack? What this study actually did is in people who just had a heart attack, they put them in a cardiovascular rehabilitation program, and guess what? The folks that exercised intensely, they're doing this intense exercise, their heart actually recovered better compared to people who just slowly walked, okay? So you can get your heart rate up. You can stimulate that muscle. Your heart is a muscle. It's a muscle that needs stimulation by way of exercise. Okay, practical nuts and bolts, that's all the science. We're gonna get right down to what do you do, okay? Choose the activities that you enjoy. You like to walk? Walk. You like to hike? Please, become a hiker. If you enjoy weightlifting, please start lifting more weights. But I encourage all of you to do some form of resistance training, okay? It can be with a band, like I just showed you. It can be pull-ups. Remember, the pull-up is a multi-joint movement. You're moving your elbows and you're moving your shoulder. So think about compound movements. When you're picking an exercise, think about how many joints are moving. You want to move 2 or more, okay? It doesn't mean you never do bicep curls. It doesn't mean you never do leg extensions. But you want to focus on the compound movements, then you can finish with those more isolation movements. So ideally, in an ideal world, everyone in this room would do some sort of resistance training 3 days per week. Who here can do 3 days per week? I see a lot of hands coming up. Even if you can only do 2, that's still good. But ideally, 3 to 4 days per week of resistance training. It can be 20 to 25 minutes. The time of day doesn't matter. You can do it in the morning. You can do it after work. You can do it at lunch, okay? You're trying to stimulate every major muscle, okay? So you do some pull-ups. You do some pressing. You do some squatting, okay? You do some hip thrusts. And I'm going to share with you examples of this very shortly.